Good morning. There is a look from our Unico U.S. Bancorp Tower building overlooking downtown Portland. Welcome to AM Northwest. A little over 50 years ago, a whale washed up on a beach in Florence, Oregon. The events that happened took on a life of their own when Paul Linman reported on the exploding whale.
It had to be said, the Oregon State Highway Division not only had a whale of a problem on its hands, it had a stinking whale of a problem. What to do with one 45-foot, 8-ton whale dead on arrival on the beach near Florence. It had been so long since a whale had washed up in Lane County, nobody could remember how to get rid of one. In selecting its battle plan, the Highway Division decided the carcass couldn't be buried because it might soon be uncovered. It couldn't be cut up and then buried because nobody wanted to cut it up, and it couldn't be burned. So dynamite it was, some 20 cases or a half-ton of it. The hope was that the long-dead Pacific gray whale would be almost disintegrated by the blast, and that any small pieces still around after the explosion would be taken care of by seagulls and other scavengers. Indeed, the seagulls had been standing nearby all day. As everything was being made ready, we asked George Thornton, the highway engineer in charge of the project, for his final observation.
Well, I'm confident that it'll work. The only thing is we're not sure just exactly how much explosives it'll take to disintegrate this thing so the scavengers, seagulls and crabs and whatnot can clean it up.
Is there any chance it might be more than a one-day job?
If there's any large chunks left, and we may have to do some other cleanup, possibly set another charge.
The dynamite was buried primarily on the leeward side of the big mammal, so as most of the remains would be blown toward the sea. About 75 bystanders, most of them residents who had first found the whale to be an object of curiosity before they tired of its smell, were moved back a quarter of a mile away. The sand dunes there were covered with spectators and landlubber newsmen, shortly to become land blubber newsmen, for the blast blasted blubber beyond all believable bounds.
Did you get a wild? Yeah, let's go.
All right, Fred, you can take your hands out of your ears. Here comes pieces of mine.
Our cameras stopped rolling immediately after the blast. The humor of the entire situation suddenly gave way to a run for survival as huge chunks of whale blubber fell everywhere. Pieces of meat passed high over our heads while others were falling at our feet. The dunes were rapidly evacuated as spectators escaped both the falling debris and the overwhelming smell. A parked car over a quarter of a mile from the blast site was the target of one large chunk. The passenger compartment literally smashed. Fortunately, no human was hit as badly as the car. However, everyone on the scene was covered with small particles of dead whale. As for the success of the effort, well, the seagulls who were supposed to clean things up were nowhere in sight, either scared away by the explosion or kept away by the smell. That didn't really matter. The remaining chunks were of such a size that no respectable seagull would attempt to tackle anyway. As darkness began to set in, the highway crews were back on the beach burying the remains, including a large piece of the carcass which never left the blast site. It might be concluded that should a whale ever wash ashore in Lane County again, those in charge will not only remember what to do, they'll certainly remember what not to do.
Our next guest took the exploding whale to the national level with his award-winning newspaper column. We welcome back to AM Northwest author and syndicated columnist Dave Barry. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Helen. How are you?
Good. So can you take me back to when you were considering doing this story, how you even found out about it?
Oh, well, I was always looking for something. I wrote a humor column and had to run every week, and I never really had anything important or useful to say. It's just desperate usually for material. And my readers knew that and sent me stuff all the time. And somebody sent me some reference to this, and I don't even remember how I saw it, but when I saw it, the video you just showed with Paul Linman, I thought this is the most, not just the most amazingly funny thing I've ever seen. It's the best thing I've ever seen, and it remains so to this day, the single most wonderful thing. I think all humans, whenever they attempt to do anything, should look at this video first.
Yeah.
And then proceed.
There's so many parts of it that are hilarious, and that the seagulls didn't even stay around.
No, right. Like
They
the
left.
seagulls are going to hang around after that and eat this whale. But the idea that they thought the seagulls could eat a whale to begin with is pretty wonderful to me. And
Yeah.
there could be some big seagulls out there in Oregon.
Oh my gosh. And the fact that they had that dynamite just hanging around, I guess, is
Just
thing.
yeah. And like the guy, we don't know exactly how much dynamite. I guess they didn't cover that in highway construction.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty. It's just the whole thing is just so wonderful.
Yeah, it really is. And now you were on AM Northwest quite a bit as a guest. Do you remember any of your appearances?
Yeah, I used to get out. Oh my God, look at that!
Look at
me
that
there.
baby.
Is that kind of a mullet I have in there?
No.
And what am I? Am I wearing sneakers?
You're wearing sneakers.
Oh man.
Yeah, there you are.
Yeah, I used to come on K2 all the time back when they had book tours. And, you know, you get a different kind of reader who comes out to your readings and stuff. People who really read your books and are really into it. So that was always a nice thing. That and the exploding whale, of course.
Well, did that get tiring? All the book tours when you're going across the country from talk show to talk show to talk show?
Yes, and my theory used to be that it was, you know, how paintings become more valuable after the painter has died because they can't paint anymore. My theory is publishers felt the same way about authors. If we can kill him out there on this book tour, this book might sell better because it'll be his last one. That was always my theory, anyway.
Did any story equal the exploding whale?
Never.
Never.
And I have said this I say this not just because you folks are doing this today, but I've said over and over again, when people say, what is your favorite column you ever wrote? And I say, it's not really my column that was the favorite thing about it. It's the incident that caused it.
Right.
And Paul Lindman should get every award you can give for his masterful presentation of that amazing day. I don't know how much he drank after he did that, but he came home covered with rotting whale flesh and managed to produce that. It's amazing to me.
Yeah, and Doug Brazil, who shot the piece, is phenomenal as well. He did a great job on that. How often do you get asked about the exploding whale?
All the time. I mean, I don't really, I deserve zero credit because I didn't do anything.
Right.
I wasn't there.
Yeah.
I did write a column about it, which I think sort of re-energized the interest in it. But I get asked all the time about this, and I say the same thing every time, which is it's the most wonderful thing that ever happened on this earth.
Just one more time for emphasis here. Let's just show. There we
There it
go.
goes.
There it
And
goes.
I love the sudden change in tone of the spectators from
Yeah, there was also a line in there too about, well, no one wanted to cut it up, so let's just blow it up.
Yeah.
Go figure.
I know, just there's so many wonderful things about
Yeah.
it. But if you ever have another whale wash up on the beach, as Paul says, you know what not to do.
Yes, exactly. Dave, thank you so very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Portland. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be right back with more AM Northwest. Don't go away.